But we have to take you to the court, and it's where the Supreme Court is expected to deliver a ruling today on that NDCEC case. We also do know that a citizen, Mark Tichi Benson, has also filed the case in court, and it's challenging whether the Electoral Commission, per the 1992 Constitution, has been mandated to do a review of the register or compile a new one. Well, let's go to our lead court correspondent, Joseph Akable, and he's joining us live. Joseph, what do you have so far? What's the atmosphere like? Good morning to you, Joseph.
Well, Roland, I'm standing some few meters away from... Good morning, Roland. I'm standing some few meters away from the Supreme Court's premises. Specifically, the main courtroom is right behind me. Just a short while ago, the NDC's delegation led by the party's General Secretary, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, former Attorney General, Betty Maud Idrisu, as well as the Deputy General Secretary, walked into the courtroom. They are waiting for this particular case to be called. The NDC, as you mentioned, is one of the parties in this particular matter. In terms of the atmosphere here, there is a bit of increased security presence. And so what we've realized at the various parts of the court premises is that there is a crowd control vehicle that has policemen seated inside as they wait in readiness. That is, in the event there are any individuals who intend to come and disrupt the peaceful hearing of the case here, they will be able to move in swiftly and deal with it. And so there are 4 crowd control vehicles that are positioned at different parts of the court premises. And so you can see in your shots that's the Form Police Unit crowd control vehicle. That is one of 4 that is here at the court premises. We understand there are some more policemen who will be coming in, who will take various posts right from the main entrance to the Supreme Court compound through to upstairs where the entrance is. They'll be doing a screening to ensure, with the scanners, to ensure that you don't take any item in that has the potential to be of threat in the event of any incident. We can see another vehicle here which is parked, that is facing the entrance to the Supreme Court directly. And this is a measure that is being put in place by the police because of the high stakes. This is a case that will decide what happens on June 30. But this is 2 out of 3 cases that have been filed against the Electoral Commission. And for those who may not have followed this particular matter closely, the question that the Supreme Court will be answering today, the first is, can the EC go ahead to compile a new voters register? The second being whether or not the voter's ID card, the existing one, can be used as proof of identification. Then the third being whether or not they can use the birth certificate as proof of identification. And so the Supreme Court will deal with those matters today, but there will still be one legal hurdle that will remain. That is at the High Court, which is filed by Ashaman MP Ernest Nogbe. And so it's more of anxiety and people looking around and people already making their way into the court premises as they wait to hear from the 7-member panel, Roland.
And while not being speculative, these rulings have some great implications on the way forward. And these implications will be what exactly, based on what you've been observing and following so far as you attend the court sittings?
And so the first thing we need to note is that the EC itself has set June 30 to carry out the exercise. And so if the Supreme Court is of the view that the EC does not have the power to compile the register, it will mean that there will not be any exercise in the first place. But that is one option. The other option is that the court can hold that the EC has the power to compile the register and then give various orders related to whether or not we can use the voter's ID card as proof of identification, that 1, you're a citizen, and that 2, you've attained the age of 18, or we can also use the birth certificate. And that is the case of the plaintiffs in the particular matter. And so whatever happens today would certainly have implications on the December 7, 2020 elections that is to take place, in that it will determine the process that will take place. And we know, per the arguments we've heard from the parties in this particular case, that this is a key issue for the NPP that believes strongly that we need a new voters register, and we know that the NDC has insisted and maintained that the current register is good enough. And in the event that you even want to compile a new register, still use the existing voters ID card, which the party, we understand, explains again that with the use of the existing ID card, it will mean that people who are on the old register will automatically get the opportunity to get onto the new register, in which case the only new entrants into the new register will obviously be individuals who have now turned 18 or persons who didn't register in 2012 when the exercise took place, Roland.
At the end of the day, we expect what the ruling will imply, but based on what has always transpired over the court sitting dates, when do we think that decisively this will be dealt with within the day?
We're expecting that the justices will work in at least at 9:30 or latest 10 a.m. And once they come in, mostly the trend is for high-profile cases. Sometimes they read the entire decision, sometimes they just read the reasoning, and even sometimes they read the conclusion. And so all those are options that are available. But the expectation is that latest by 11 a.m., the entire nation should have access to that decision, and that will be read by Chief Justice Kwesi Eniebua, who is presiding over the 7-member panel that is hearing this particular matter. The other justices on this case, aside from the Chief Justice Kwesi Eniebua, is Justice Jones Doche. There is also Paul Bafo Boni. There is Sule Badegbe. Then as well as there is Nene Amegacha. There is also Mafo Sao, as well as the last one being Professor Ashi Kote. And so in terms of by way of experience, in terms of our senior most justices, they are all parts of this particular case, as well as some new justices in the form of Nene Amegacha, Professor Kote, and Justice Mafosao. And so it's a blend of the most experienced and the fairly new judges in terms of those who have just joined the Supreme Court quite recently. And so it's best to describe this as a decision that will be coming from some of the best legal brains that the nation has ever seen. And hopefully this is a decision that the nation will be able to move away from once it comes, and the various parties in the case will accept and move on as the EC goes ahead to prepare for the 2020 elections, Roland.
Yeah, and that's Joseph Akable, a young, brilliant journalist, good at what he does. And thank you, Joseph. Please be on standby. We'll be with you throughout the rest of the day. But Mamavi, you know, your godmother has something to say.
Joseph, just before you go, help us, because you said there are 3 cases pending, but there's a ruling on the 2, at least, that we know. Why did Mr. Nogbe go to the High Court, and what is he asking for exactly?
And so the case that has been filed at the High Court is an application for judicial review. In terms of the rules of the court, when you file for a judicial review, what you are asking the court to do is to access the processes leading to a decision undertaken by an administrative body or someone vested with some authority, whether the person's processes leading to that decision conforms to law, and whether or not the person abused discretionary power or not. And so the question they are asking there is that the processes that led to the EC's decision to compile a new register is contrary to law. It abuses the discretionary power, aside from the fact that it does not even have the power to carry out that exercise in the first place. And so, obviously, to an extent, this may have implication, but the difference is in the fact that over here they are coming for under the interpretation and enforcement powers of the Supreme Court to say that the EC does not have the power to do this. And so, obviously, once this decision is done with, the interesting thing about the Ernest Nogbe case is that they are supposed to move for an injunction on Monday, which is less than 24 hours from Tuesday when the EC has set as the dates to commence the exercise. And so, on Monday, we expect that in making the oral arguments, the AG's office and the Electoral Commission, depending on what will transpire here, will obviously rely on the decision of the Supreme Court to make and put forward its case. But that particular case that has been filed is an application for a judicial review. And so by way of the process is different, the forum is different, and again, the relief that is being sought is different. But substantively, it seeks to achieve the same thing: stop the compilation of a new voters register. Mamavi.
Joseph, we wait to hear the decision. I guess all eyes on the Supreme Court and all eyes on you, Joseph. Joseph would fill us in and give us, as soon as this happens, trust that it will be live here on Joy News. It will be on myjoyonline.com as well. So that's our court correspondent, Joseph Akable, the Supreme Court as they rule on the EC NDC case. Roland?
Yeah, well, let's run this by you. Golden Finger Industries Limited is a fast-growing manufacturing company processing fruit into quality organic cosmetic product, cleaning and disinfectant produced right here in Ghana under certified FDA conditions. And they have in stock GF hand sanitizers, GF rubbing alcohol, GF Jetol antiseptic, GF multipurpose liquid soap, GF hand washing soap, GF antiseptic cleaner, GF multipurpose glass cleaner, and they're located at the Giselle Estate, SCC DVLA. You can contact them on 054 6274070 or 05462739990, and they also have a very reliable office line, and it's 0302957950950. Well, we also have to say happy birthday to a regular contributor on the show, Dr. Augustina Silverkin of the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. Thank you for all the good things you do for Mother Ghana, and we wish you all the best for today. Happy 60th birthday also to you, Janet Aklamenu of the Trust Hospital, and from Nelson, your father, also from Fred, Frank, Jemima, and Derek Ekosam. Okay. Now we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more for you.